Thoothukudi, Tamil Nadu. All right. Good afternoon once again. A warm welcome to all of you, dear teachers. It's my pleasure to introduce you to English Press, a forward-thinking leader in English language teaching and educational publishing. At English Press, we are committed to transforming the way students experience English language learning by crafting high-quality, research-driven materials that nurture every learner's potential. For years, English Press has been creating innovative and engaging ELT resources, pre-primary as well as value-based educational resources, from textbooks and supplementary materials to digital learning tools, all designed to develop strong language skills, critical thinking, and confidence in communication. What sets English Press apart is not just our rich content, but our deep understanding of teaching learning processes. Every resource is crafted with educators in mind, clear, practical, and classroom ready, helping teachers inspire curiosity and foster excellence. We believe that great teaching and meaningful learning go hand in hand, and we are proud to partner with teachers like you who shape the future through your dedication and passion. Thank you all for that you do, dear teachers, and we look forward for a wonderful journey of learning together. On behalf of English Press, I, Vidya, welcome you to our webinar From Play to Purpose, Structuring Meaningful Learning in Pre-Primary Classrooms. Our workshop today will give you insights on the importance of understanding foundational literacy and numeracy, storytelling, and play as a pedagogy in early years, and significance of integrating theme-based learning during this learning phase. It's my pleasure to introduce the keynote speaker, Mr. Kartikeya Shukla, a seasoned pedagogical expert, educator, and soft skills trainer, boasts a rich 14-year background in both the media and education sectors. Embracing diverse roles as a writer, counselor, life coach, and motivational speaker, Kartikeya consistently channels his extensive experience to deliver impactful messages to society, encouraging readers and challenge establishing norms. Welcome to this session, Kartikeya. We are not able to see you.
Yeah. Hi, Vidya. Can you see me now? Am I visible
Yes, I
and
can see
audible?
you. You're audible, you're visible.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much
much for
for.
such a wonderful introduction.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll see you after this discussion.
So I believe we'll wait for some time for others to join, as I can see people are still joining.
We already have 95 participants and few more
Okay.
will be joining. So let us begin. Yes.
Okay.
Dear teachers, feel free to mention your Q&As if there are any in the chat box. So we'll respond you once the discussion is completed, and we'll follow a Q&A session as well.
Okay. So shall we?
Sure.
Yeah. Um, a very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you so much for being here. Because here we will be talking about the journey of laying down the right foundation. You know, when we say education, when we talk about learning process, we often talk about, you know, like the boards classes. We pay a lot of attention. We have been doing that since ever, you know. And then when we talk about pre-primary, it has been mostly about the playway method. Okay, these are the playing years, these are the fun years. Of course, these are all there. Everything is playing, everything is fun. But there is a transition that was always required. But somehow, somewhere, we have been missing on that one. Now, before we begin, I want you to picture something. Everyone, are you here with me? Just raise your hands. Give me a thumbs up or raise your hands. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see. Very good. Very well. Very well. So, before we begin, I want you to picture that a 3-year-old walks into a school for the first time. Okay. Now, the children does not know alphabets, doesn't know numbers, he or she doesn't know classroom rules, nothing. Okay, let's just assume the child doesn't know anything. But the child arrives with something far more powerful. Can you tell me what that thing is? What is the most powerful thing a child comes along with in a classroom in the very first day? Please put in your answers in the chat box. Yeah, I can't see the answers. Okay, here we are. Yes, teachers, please. According to you, what is the most powerful thing a child comes in? Excitement, yes. Yes, exactly, exactly. Curiosity. It's the curiosity. A child, the moment they walks into a new classroom or maybe to a new world of learning, they might not have any background of any sort of, literacy, numeracy, or whatsoever, but they have one thing in common, that is curiosity. We all see that amongst ourselves as well. When the child is at home, and I have often seen parents complaining about this, sir, the child asks so many questions. ये बच्चा तो खिलौने दो तो वो तोड़ देता है 4 दिन खेलता है. That is all because of the curiosity, and we all know that very well. Now, what we do with that curiosity in the next few years, it determines not just school readiness, but life readiness. Right? We have been talking about the holistic development of a child. A child comes to the school for the holistic development. And what holistic development we focus on? Okay, well, what exactly do we focus on? Do we really focus and we are really streamlined and aligned in getting a child to the holistic development that we actually talk about? No. Somehow, somewhere, we all know that this has been missing quite a long time. Now, so let me put the two scenarios in front of you, and I believe all of us are educators, so we all have been through these scenarios. So there are two preschool classrooms. Okay. In one classroom, children were quietly filling worksheets, perfectly written letters, neat coloring, everything is so good. The schools, those who go for cursive also, the children are doing cursive as well. Right. Now, the moment this classroom is there, at the first glance, can we have teachers on mute, please? Yeah. So, at the first glance, what do we see? The very first classroom look, matlab, this classroom is very academic. It's very academic. The children are very calm. They're working, they're writing. Their writing, handwriting is very neat and clean. It's all colorful sheets and everything. Then we go to the another classroom where children were building, discussing, moving, questioning, a lot of noise. As I always say, बच्चों से शोर मचाना सीखिए. That's one thing we all need to learn from the children. When I say shur machana, that means we need to learn how to question things, how to discuss on the points. So now these are the two classrooms that we have talked about. One which is very structured, as we say, pin drop silence wala, and the other one where there are a lot of questions, where there is a lot of curiosity, there are a lot of experiments are happening. But 6 months later, now if we see, we all know what the results are going to be. So the second group, they showed stronger language, better confidence, higher problem solving ability, and fewer behavior issues. Now, fewer behavior issues, no? So does this resonate to any of the terms that we used to have in back in time? Remember the backbenchers we always used to talk about? How many of you were the backbenchers? Can you please raise a hand? I need to know how many of us were the backbenchers. Yeah, Manisha ma'am raised her hand for the first. Like she's like, I'm the backbencher. Okay. Yes. So we all know, no? Reading a book, gathering information is a very different thing from what we talk about gathering and acquiring knowledge. To acquire any sort of knowledge or to hone a skill, it is very important primarily to have the right attitude towards it. Okay. So here in these two classrooms, the difference was not of intelligence. Okay. The difference was intentional learning design. Right. Because one classroom where everything is being so focused, beautifully streamlined, in terms of, we say the paper curriculum, that is there beautifully done. But in the other one, the child were set free. The children were set free to experiment, to understand. Okay. And as we always say, how do we learn? People, it has always been said that people learn from their mistakes. Well, that's true, but up to an extent. People learn when they commit the same mistake, but with a different idea, different way, different, notion. So doing a mistake repeatedly in the same way won't lead anyone to anywhere. Okay. Now, today, when we talk about this curriculum, when we talk about this topic, play to purpose. Okay. So today, it's not about changing what teachers do. Today, it is not at all about what teachers do. Okay, it's about understanding why we do it. We need to understand and answer the whys, which is very, very important. Because each and every child has a why attached to every single thing that they listen or they hear or they see or they observe. So now, when you see to your children, when you look at your children, the students, what exactly do we see? We see a bunch of kids who are there, who have a lot of energy, who are keen to learn. But what we do, or what I can say, what our curriculum has been doing since quite a long time, was to put every single child in the same bracket. Okay. Your cursive writing is not good. Okay, you're not good. Then your handwriting has to be this. This thing has to be. Your numeracy skill has to be this way. But if it is a skill, it can be learned with multiple ways. Like 2 plus 2, 4 is okay. 3 plus 1 is 4. That is also correct. 5 minus 1 is 4. That is also correct. It has always been there. But what we were majorly focused on, 2 plus 2, 4. Now, this is another question to you all. In one word, type in the chat box, like, what is the most important skill a child should develop before grade 1? Before grade 1, what do you think one skill that a child must develop? Everyone, please. I want to see the answers in the chat box.
Excuse me, sir, you're muted.
Yeah. Did you all notice something? We have got so many answers here, and all what I can see is like more of communication, vocabulary, listening skills, speaking skills, social emotional development skills. Did you notice that there is one thing which is missing? You know, nobody said worksheets. Nobody mentioned worksheets over here, right? But the very first thing, whenever we see a book or a curriculum, the very first thing that we ask to the publishers or to anybody, what do we say? Sir, इसमें worksheets थोड़ी कम है, don't we? We all do. Why? Why? When worksheets are not helping a child to develop the skill, why do you want them to rote memorize it? For example, see, there's the concept of before, after, and between, right? We always talk about this concept. Do you really think if a child is, penning it down in like 4 or 5 different worksheets, LKG का concept है, the child is practicing it in the worksheets, like 1 worksheet, 2 worksheet, 3 worksheet, first say 4, 5 worksheets. Does the child will really be able to utilize it anywhere? Or maybe like at all the places where it is required? The child is wasting a lot of time in just, penning it down in the worksheet. Rather than this, if we allow a child to practice it and at the areas where it is actually required, when the child is there aligning themselves in the assembly line, or maybe when they are arranging their books, or when they are taking up a sitting arrangement, right? Learning by doing, which is what we say. Now, let's just start to understand how all these things work. Okay, we all have heard about the child's brain and their purposes, right? Everyone has heard about it. Let me share my screen with you, and then we'll move ahead. Give me a second, please, teachers. Oh, is my screen visible to you all? Please.
You need to maximize
Yes,
it.
sir.
Is it visible?
Visible,
It's
but
visible.
you can maximize the screen, Kartikeya.
Okay.
Mm.
Please just need to put it
If you put it on slideshow,
up.
Kartika.
Yeah, I was trying to do so, but it won't work. Just a second, please.
Or maybe click on the double square so it maximizes.
It's actually switched to the width, right, already. Yeah. I guess now it is possible. Thank you. Yes. So yes, we are talking about from play to purpose, structuring meaningful learning in pre-primary classroom. So when we say playful or meaningful learning, what exactly are we talking about? We have been talking about the playway method, right? All the time we talk about it. So how does it work actually? The playway method is actually something that is working for the child. You really think so? How many of you agree that when we say the playway method, it is exactly what we imagine, like playing with the children, doing things, doing activities, and that's going to solve the purpose? Is it? Is it? Is it exactly something that we do? No, right?
सिखाने को कह रहा हूँ.
Now, so teachers, now let's just understand the science of early learning. Okay, when we say the
तुमको
science of
डिस्टर्ब
early
लगा
learning,
अपने खिलौने ला के दो मस्त खेलेंगे.
can we have everyone on mute, please? Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, yeah. So the moment I say the science of early learning, so let's just understand how a child's brain work. Okay. Have you all heard about the brain analogy? Okay. So a young child's brain, basically, how does it work? It works like it's a city under construction. Okay. Like we can say Mumbai it is. It's a city under construction because the neural connections are being built every single second. Every single second there is something or the other that is happening, and the child is acquiring experiences which decide that which road becomes highways and which will disappear. The experiences the child is going to get, right? Because these experiences are the one that are going to shape the future of a child. For say, if I'm learning something, okay, which I'm very much interested in, eventually my keen interest will lead to make better choices in that particular area. Right. Now, when we say the learning of a child, how does a child actually learn? According to you, how does a child learn? Please, I need the answers. According to you, how does a child actually learn?
By listening,
By listening, okay. By seeing,
by
okay.
sometimes by seeing, by imitating the actions done by the teacher or the peers,
Yes. Hands-on
by
experience.
experimental learning, hands-on experience. These are the different
Perfect.
methods in which, yes,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
So, well, these are the methods that we talk about. But a child actually learns through movement before sitting. Imagine this. Now, when I'm seeing this, try to picture it out. Before sitting, there has to be some movement. Movement before sitting, right? Speaking before writing. SRW, right? Exploration before memorization. This is exactly how a child learns. If I'm not making a movement, I won't feel the urge of sitting. And in fact, sitting is a sort of movement, right? Now, we all have seen, for example, if I talk about the children, we see them stacking blocks repeatedly, right? Often parents say and adults say that, like they may think that repetition is quite boredom. I have seen parents, they often get new toys or new construction material things for the students or for their wards so that they can be involved in several activities. But that building blocks, those building blocks, here the brain of a child is testing the hypothesis. Like, what happens if I place this here? Tell me this, how many of you have actually ever have thought about कि भगवान ने हमें एक नाक की जगह दो नाक दी होती या एक आंख दी होती या भगवान ने अगर हमें एक ही कान दिया होता या हाथ पैर ऐसे दिए होते कि हम डिटैच करके रख सकते थे. Is there anyone who has thought about something like this? Anyone? Yeah. Have you ever thought about these things, that whether, like, why we have all these things? No, whenever we have our legs hurting, we often say there has to be something that where we can actually dismantle our legs and keep them somewhere, or maybe we can just put our eyes somewhere for a while and then put them back in. Have you ever thought of such questions ever? Anyone? When you were kids, or maybe like while growing up? No. Well, I believe most of us have. हमारी नाक यहाँ, like, if our nose is not placed here, must have been somewhere else. Would it have been working the same way? Well, all these questions, that is what we can say. This is early scientific thinking. Whatever we have around us, we really tend to find why is it so, the why behind everything. The whys are very, very, very much important. And we all know if the whys are not being answered, the question remains there and there's a void that it creates. Now, when we say play versus purposeful play, okay, play to purpose. Now, playway method, we have been talking about it. Every single school that I go to, every single teacher that we meet, it has always been said. Teachers always say we do a lot of activities. We do so much of circle time activities. There's a lot of playing involved with the children. Playgroup is all about that only. Now, playing alone is not enough, right? The term play is not is enough on its own. How many of you agree with this? Because unstructured play, it entertains, but purposeful play educates. We need to understand this. The play way or the playway method or whatsoever we are trying to inculcate in the classroom, include in our lesson plans in our classroom, it has to have a purpose attached to it. For example, like by the structured early years classroom, instead of free coloring, we have children who do the scribbling. We give them the wax colors and crayons and everything, and then they do the coloring. Okay. Now, instead of the free coloring, if teacher guides them, let's find the objects that are round and color them. What will happen? The cognition will be activated. And that is something that is going to lead to the end. Now, children do not learn from activities. Now, this is something that we all need to understand, and we need to take care of this term. We often say, in fact, like when we create books, we say that there are a lot of activities in the book. or there are a lot of activities we have included in the lesson plans. Teachers often say, sir, we do a lot of activities in the classroom. It's an activity-led classroom. But we need to understand children do not learn from activities. They learn from the experiences designed with intention. So doing one activity with the child might be a fun time thing for a while, but unless and until it is not designed with an intention behind it, it's not gonna serve the purpose. Now, when we say, or when we talk about learning methods or traditional practices of learning, okay, now traditional practices have always been prevalent. We have been using them, doing them since ages. Now, for us, it was CAT cat. It was never at cat. It was always CAT cat. We have learned it that way. Our parents have learned it that way, and their parents might have learned it that way. But now, when we have introduced phonics to the system, we see the difference now. So the traditional practices, like, I can say this for the teachers, I would say, with honestly, with deep respect for the teachers, I would want to say that most challenges in early education are not because teachers lack effort. I've heard so many people say that nowadays teachers lack effort. No, teachers are putting in a lot of effort, and we all know that very well. But the problem is, what the problem is happening because system lacks structure. Now you might question this thing, whatever I have said right away, that there was no lack, right? We all have learned that way. Where was the lack? Where was the lack? No. We all pretty much profound with our skills. Where was the lack? No, it wasn't there. So now it's high time that we actually talk about certain myths that have been prevalent in our society when it comes to the learning of a child. Now, first thing, early writing equals smart learning. How many of you deal with this question from the parents that there is less writing work given in the classrooms, or there is less writing work, there are lesser worksheets? How many of you actually deal with such questions every other day? Please raise your hands. Where we get such questions from the parents, ki, ma'am, you are not giving enough work. There is less writing work for the children. We all deal with that, right? Because it is a phenomenon that has been created in people's mind that early writing equals smart learning. That when the child will start writing, they will be more, they will be learning a lot. That totally is not at all correct. Because when children are pushed to write before motor readiness, okay, first thing first, learning becomes performance, not development. Now, can you resonate it with me? Because my child might not be knowing that CAT cat, when we say CAT cat, okay, the moment we introduce phonics, we say C makes the sound K makes the sound K. And now, when I give the dictation, that I asked the child to write the word cat, and the child wrote KAT. What we'll do? The very first thing that we'll do is the red pen will go like this. And now what will happen? Did you try to notice the development of the child? That the child was correct in getting the phoneme. He or she was just mistaking. He or she was just mistaking the entire thing. No, the grapheme was the only thing that was wrong. Okay, so what we did, we just learned and judged on the performance. We didn't see the development that the child actually got the phonics side. So he or she is halfway there. So for this, the better progression is what is the better progression? So now, to bust this myth, we need to understand that the better progression is finger strengthening, tracing patterns, tactile exploration, guided strokes. And this is in the past few years, I believe all the schools and all the teachers have already started doing it. Because we need to understand that writing becomes effortless instead of stressful. When we follow all these methods, the writing becomes effortless instead of being stressful. If a child doesn't know there are the fingers are not that strong, or maybe the child doesn't know that how the strokes are working, they have just rote memorized, they'll just copy paste it, and half of the time it is wrong. That's why we see the common errors in lowercase letters, D and B, P and Q, Y and G, F. The children make a lot of mistakes while writing all these letters, right? Now, moving on to the second myth. How many of you have been saying the term maintain pin drop silence? Teachers, let's be honest here. How many of us have been saying this term or this phrase over and over to our classrooms, maintain pin drop silence? How many of us have done that? Come on, no one. Yeah, okay, Manisha ma'am says yes. I say yes. Okay, yes, yes. Why do we say that? We try, okay, Prabha, I'm saying we try. Surely we do try. Why do we say this, maintain pin drop silence? Because in our head, we have been, nurtured in a way, or it has been mapped that silence means discipline. If the class is silent, that means the class is disciplined. Whereas the real engagement, where the real engagement happens? The real engagement happens in discussions, questioning, collaboration. Am I right or not? Or should I say, am I right? Am I right? Yes. Discussion, questioning, collaboration, all these things are the places where the real engagement is happening. And whenever there is real engagement, then only the learning process is going on. Even the stagnant waters start rotting after a given point of time, it starts smelling. Learning is an active process. We need to understand it. Learning is active, it's not passive. We cannot just put a child to write a page of paper or something on the paper and then think that, okay, the child has learned everything or they are disciplined in their life. No, not at all possible. Not at all possible. Now, when we talk about another myth, moving on, earlier academics is equal to future success. Another one. Okay, we all have been listening about this. Now, short-term achievement can hide long-term gaps. Right? Right? What happens is that many of us fail to understand that the short-term achievements that we look up to, like, okay, the child has gotten marks in the unit test or maybe in the class test, and that's that. But what about long-term gaps? Did we actually notice whether the child has learned it all? Whether the child can recognize it? The observation skills are on point? No. No. Why? Because, again, like I said in the beginning, that we are just measuring the presentation of a child. That's that. We are not working on the development. Like we often see many grade 3 students, grade 4 students struggles. Their struggle begins in preschool, foundation level. In fact, with the senior teachers, like we have often seen the students of grade 9th and 10th fail to write one or two sentences in a proper way. Addition and subtraction is a very common problem. Making mistakes in that, right? Why so? Because eventually the foundation level literacy that was there, the foundation gaps were not filled up. Now, this is high time for us to reflect on few of the things. Now, I just have one question tomorrow. Okay. If we remove worksheets tomorrow, from tomorrow onwards, there is circular to everybody that we are removing worksheets from the curriculum. Would the learning be stopped? How many of you think that the learning will stop if we remove the worksheets from the curriculum or from the books? How many of you really think that the worksheets The moment I'll stop the worksheets or anyone will remove the worksheets, the learning will stop. No, it will not. Yes, definitely it will not. Okay, now another question related to the same thing. If we remove the worksheets, okay, the learning won't stop. We all know that. Now, do you think if we remove the worksheets, the teaching needs redesigning? The teaching would be needing some sort of redesigning. Your lesson plans will look different, right? How these lesson plans are going to be like? Now, just imagine your lesson plans without worksheets. Feels so good, no? Less worksheets, less correction. You can devote more time with the children, right? We'll have more time to have purposeful play there. Whatever we'll be playing with our children, whatever the activities we'll be performing with the children, that will have a purpose attached to it. Because that is not something mere rote memorized by a child and then vomited on the paper, and you are just making rectifications to that. No. So this is high time. Yes, this is high time that we redesign brain ready classrooms. So now when we say brain ready classrooms, what do you think when I say the term brain ready classrooms? What is the very first thing that comes to your mind? Brain ready classroom. What is a brain ready classroom? Anyone who can tell me what's a brain ready classroom? More of movement, yes. Anything else? Anything else? Motivate the child, lots of speaking, yes. Yes, when we say brain ready, exploration, bonding, yes. Keeping the class, yes. Visual schedules, very good. Thinking and answer, yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. When we say brain ready classroom, so whatever the problems that we have been stating by far, like talking about learning, slow learning of a child, or there are the gaps that have been there, we really need to understand that the redesigning of classrooms to the brain ready classrooms, it's going to move the problem awareness to the solution clarity. That's the only solution we require. Now, what are brain ready classrooms? As you said, where the students will be spending more time in activities, exploration, everything. Now, these brain ready classrooms, let me give you that these brain ready classrooms are standing on four prominent pillars. Now, which are these four prominent pillars? First one, as you said, thinking and answer, thinking development. When I have to do something, so every single child will have a different notion, different idea, different way of performing the same activity. There's a lot of thinking happening in the classroom. Now, here the teachers will ask open ended questions like, what do you think will happen next? They won't be just testing the memory, they will be building the reasoning in the memory of a child, in the brain of a child. Now, second is the physical development. As ma'am has already mentioned, there's a lot of activities happening. Physical development. Why physical development? Because movement strengthens cognition. We need to keep on moving, keep on moving. Friction has to be made. For example, like counting jumps integrates maths and coordinations. We do the skipping, no? Rope skipping and all these things. What is it? What do we do? We keep on counting and making the coordination with the rope. That's physical development. Third is social emotional development. When we say social emotional development, circle conversations teach emotional intelligence. When four people of different backgrounds, four children of different backgrounds, different mindsets coming from different values, when they sit there, they are being put together, they talk about so many things. They tend to learn so many things from each other. But what we do? Maintain pin drop silence. Right? Now here, what sort of questions we'll be asking to the children? The teachers will be asking, how do you feel when a friend of yours help you? We teach, we teach our helpers. Very, very common topic in EVS, our helpers. How many of us have actually taught what is help before teaching our helpers? Just think about it. How many of us actually go and talk about these things where we say what exactly helping means? We rarely do, because it's not given in the book, sir. It's not there in the curriculum. I just have to complete the syllabus. Of course, we are abided by certain norms, but in that pursuit, the learning of a child should not. Whenever the social emotional development is involved in the classroom, it is included in the classroom. The children learn empathy based vocabulary. The empathy, which is nowadays we see a lot of children lack empathy. A very simple example I can say empathy or say respect. We all know, no? Like if a child of uh, for say senior classes like 9 to 12 is passing and there's a pre-primary teacher standing, they might not even bother to wish the teacher around this. And we all see the difference, right? We say there is lack of respect. Yes, there is lack of respect. There is lack of empathy amongst children because they are only confided to one or the other thing that is just related to them, not to the people around them. Now, the fourth pillar that we talk about when we talk about the brain developed classroom is structured play. Now, we talked about physical development, thinking development, social emotional development. Next and last is structured play. Now, there is another thing that we all need to understand when we say the term structure. Structure is not restriction. To put anything into a structure, we are not, it is not necessary to put restrictions to it. Structure is the clarity, basically, for both teacher and the child. When I'm clear what I'm teaching, when the child is clear what he or she is there to learn, the classroom will be structured because the questions that the child will be asking will be more streamlined. They will be more associated and aligned to the topic. And then when we have these sort of questions, a lot of brainstorming, motivation happens in the classroom. Because this is something that is driving force, the force that we have in the classroom, the children, their energies in the process of learning a skill. Now, here the skill progression is going to happen. Let's take an insight on the skill progression. Now, when we talk about high quality classrooms, the learning is like a staircase, not random steps. You really think? Yes. We often talk about the spiral learning. Spiral learning, where we actually move forward, taking the knowledge and the information that we have gathered in the previous. Now, when we say the high quality classroom plans are like learning like a staircase there. Now, what are the staircases? What are the steps there? First is recognition. Recognition is there. The child observe, they tend to ask questions, there are recognition is there. Then they move to application. When you have recognized something, you want to apply it. You want to see, you want to practice it. Then the application is there. And when the application has happened, now the child will have a lot of explanation to do, or maybe an explanation to seek. Either way, there's a lot of communication happening, right? So, whatever the framework that we had till date, whatever it was, whatever, like in terms of learning, in terms of teaching, in terms of making your lesson plans, in terms of your copy correction or whatsoever, the framework is now really required to be shifted to practice. practice makes a man perfect. We have been learning and listening this term since ever. But we really have never moved from the framework learning to practice-based learning. What we think, we used to think that if a child is working on the worksheets, filling in notebooks, writing a lot of, they're doing a lot of writing work, okay, the practice is happening. No, the child is merely writing, just that. Mere scribbling is happening. They might do it on their own, they might copy it from somewhere, but that's not going to solve the purpose of learning. Because like I said, and as it is mentioned in the like, I believe you all have gone through the roots curriculum. So the roots curriculum, we talk about ask framework. No, ask is attitude, skills, and knowledge. What is that? Like I mentioned before, to have any sort of knowledge, to gain any sort of knowledge, or to learn a skill and become knowledgeable about it, the very first thing is to have the right attitude. I can have a book. I might be given a book on learning how to drive. Okay. But if I don't feel the zeal of driving, if I don't really pay heed to why do I need to drive, why do I need to be on the road like this, I will never be able to drive. The practice is not happening. I might pass the writing test, driving the writing test, I might pass, but I won't be able to clear the driving examination, the practical examination, because I haven't practiced at all. That's exactly the transformation, which is what we need to talk about. That what actually changes. Now, when we say the transformation of the classrooms, okay, now playing to purposeful playing, structure that we are going to talk about, this transformation is not just there for the student. The very first person who experienced this transformation is the teacher. Now, before the structure is being built, okay, um, I'll just put few words here and you will resonate with me. We have a lot of daily planning stress, right? We have inconsistent outcomes because I might have written something in the lesson plan that I'll be doing it this day, and something or the other came up. Now, what tension will be there in my mind? Oh, I'm running behind from my syllabus, from the completion of the syllabus. Oh, I have not done this, I've not done that. Why? In a classroom where the classroom is eventually led by those 30, 40 students, it's going to be inconsistent. Okay, and then whenever this happens, so the behavior management struggles will always be there, because whenever there will be pressure. So for example, like today, I have a classroom and I was in a very happy mood in the morning. Like I was in a joyous mood and I came to the class. First period went by. By the second period, a parent came to the principal's office and complained about me. I was called there, yelled upon, and then suddenly what happened? My entire mood shifted from being so bright to gloom. And now what will happen? This is surely going to reflect on my behavior in the classroom. We all agree to that, right? So now when you have the structured frameworks for you, okay, so structured frameworks means whenever you have a purpose attached to why this practice has to be done, what will happen? You will have clarity of objectives. If I know that by performing this activity, my child is going to learn this particular skill, my objective is clear, right? Now, if it is clear, so my routines will be smoother. Why? Because now I will not be abiding the child or myself to do this in this particular frame of time. The child can practice it in number of ways. They will come up to me with different sort of questions, and the routine will be smoother. And when my child is asking questions, when I am able to cater to all the problems the child has come up with, I will be more confident in my teaching. Right? This happens. No, many a times students ask certain questions and then we like, okay, we know the answer. It's better to admit it. That's the confidence that we all have. So it is very, very much important to have the framework designed, structured framework designed for the right practice. Right. Now, when children know what comes next, the brain feels safe. Right? Because when the child is out there, okay, they know that the teacher has allowed them to experiment. The teacher is not stopping them up. They don't have the fear of practicing. They don't have the fear of, like failing. What will happen? They know that what will come next? A new learning. And that is the moment when the child's brain will feel safer. And only a safe brain is ready to learn. Because if I have apprehensions in my head, or if I have inefficiency, no, this might be done, teacher might scold me, or maybe if I'll not do the homework, I'll never learn. I'll never learn. What if I'll spend like 2 hours reading a book? Oh, I might fail in my maths examination. No. The children needs to understand that whatever is coming to them is just another learning. No failures, nothing like that. And that can only happen when the teacher is making, and teacher's behavior is making a strong impact on the children. Now, from here, when something like this will happen, what will happen? The children will move from what should I do to what can I explore? Oh, what should I do? What should I be doing? I was supposed to furnish the homework by then. And what can I explore? Okay, I haven't written this answer. Let me see in how many ways this answer can be written. Something like that. So structured early years, when you model these, like the structure, your earlier structures, whenever we put these models in action, then only the learning becomes powerful. No matter what, how many books we create, we say we are teaching phonics, we say we are using the pedagogy of CPA, we are using BTS. No, unless and until this is not streamlined in a way that, and this entire model that you have got, like for say for literacy, okay, we say phonics, right? Now, what is the pedagogy for the phonics, learning, for the language learning? The term itself says systematic synthetic phonics. System, structure. I'm talking about structure there. So, like when this is exactly where integrated curriculum design becomes powerful. We talk about integrated learning, right? Integrated learning becomes powerful because uh, if it is integrated, the child is moving from one place to another, exploring things, rather than shifting from one to another and having this jump. The child is smoothly sailing through, exploring all these things around. For example, like if I ask you to move you from here to Sri Lanka, okay, I ask you to take a bus from here to the airport, and then from the airport you're going to take a flight, and then from the flight you're going to reach Tamil Nadu, or then from there you're going to take a jetty, and then from there you're going to take a cab. All what you're doing is dum 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 dum, because everything is time aligned, right? Now, if I say, okay, you're here, we are going to provide you a ship, and you just have to sail through the beautiful ocean. What will happen? You will be more aligned, you'll be more observant, or you will be experiencing the sea waves, everything. That is where you'll be learning more about the sea waves. You will be trying to explore what is there. But when you're shifting from one place to another, it's just like, putting it in the time frames, throwing it here and there. So now when we say that this is all something that is to be done, the very first thing that I always say, that for teachers, if it is not given in the books, it's tough to be done in the classroom. Because at the end of the time, whatever is there in the books, is to be finished within a given time frame. Or else Parents will come and say, ma'am, ye chapter 2, you have not done this worksheet with the students. This worksheet has not been done. The other school is doing this and you're not doing that. Right? We go through all these questions. In fact, the management often asks us why you're behind your syllabus, why your question papers are not ready yet. Because everything that is there in the book, you are just trying to put it there. There's no learning happening. The model of learning is just putting it from one paper to another, then memorizing it in the brain, right? You can understand exactly how rote memorization works for us. How many of you during your examinations, like while we are writing your answer sheets or question paper, this has happened to a lot of us, that when we try to recall an answer, rather than getting to the answer, what we see, we used to imagine that which page number it was, how it was written, on which frame it was written, was it on the top, was it on the bottom. Have you ever gone through this thing while when you were studying? We used to go through this now. We did not, we never actually went to the concept or got to the visualization of the question and the answer attached to it. We were always flipping through the pages. This was the memorization that we have done. That we used to remember the page. Okay, we used to flip through the pages in our head. Okay, here the answer was. But in spite of this, if everything would have been integrated, so my learning or whatever the concept was that I have studied, one way or the other, thinking of something or the other might have led me to the same thing. So when we say like a curriculum has to be in a way where the focus is more on the concept of learning, right? So with English Press, as we all know, that we have created this roots curriculum. I'll be talking about the same now. So the roots curriculum actually talks about the integrated theme based learning. It is exactly the model that I was talking about, the integrated curriculum design model. Because rather than selecting books of subjects, finding subjects here and there, I always say till grade 5, a child doesn't study subjects. It's the skill that they acquire that they hone. Sixth onwards, of course, everything is subjective. If I'm not interested in history, I might just rote memorize it and get marks. But if I have the keen interest, I will eventually hone it as a skill. Right? That's why not everyone is a historian. So, when we say the roots curriculum eventually talks about the holistic development of a child. For those who have seen it and for those who are not here, so this particular curriculum, I believe this is visible to you all. I'm just giving you a short example here. This particular curriculum is not coming up in a box or something like that. We call it a closet, the learning closet. The idea of learning closet is the only thing that we want to talk about is that the closet has designated space to everything. Right? If my child, see, the child cannot read all these long terms. The child cannot read literacy and neutral skill set. No, but they can identify which box is going to be placed. Right? A sense of space is going to be there in the children. Right? With the same, when we see closet, holistic development talks about taking up the responsibilities, learning up the alignment, putting up things at the right place, and so many things. From discipline to structure to being organized, everything is there, right? But how we are going to do that? Because books may it's not given, and then we have to answer the parents, and the parents will definitely come. It often happens that the parents and specifically mothers, they come to the teachers and they say, "Ma'am, the child doesn't eat this vegetable. What should I do?" Right? The pre-primary teachers, they often go through such questions. They have often been bombarded with such questions. The child doesn't eat this. He or she doesn't sleep on time. How we are going to do that? So for all these things, where the learning is actually happening, where the growth is actually happening of child, we have included and integrated everything in this curriculum. For example, we talk about my body, right? That's the topic, my body. Now, when we say my body, so let me just point it out how many topics or how many strata we are of learning we are covering here. Language, primarily, vocabulary building is going to happen. Okay. Then maths, counting fingers. Then you have motor skill set. So action, drive, movements are going to be there. Then you have art integration, body outline drawing. Then SEL, hygiene and self care discussion. Now, one single theme, multiple developmental outcomes. But by far, what we were doing, oh, this is nose, this is mouth, this is no. If we are talking about my body, we should talk about the numbers as well. We must talk about the action, how they're going to help us to understand. Like when I say, I don't want to eat, I should be doing this. I shouldn't be doing, I don't want to eat. No, right? So, this one theme itself, when we say the thematic, integrated thematic curriculum, this is what we mean. And how this integration works, because young children do not learn subjects separately. They tend to relate one thing to the other always they correlate one thing to the other. Like I always give the example when we teach shapes to the children, right? And the moment you resonate shapes and you ask them with the food items or anything, wherever they'll see a shape, they will try to resonate with what they have learned in the classroom. This is how integration actually works, the mapping. They learn through experiences. Why? They are experiencing those shapes in the form of chapatis, or maybe in the form of pizza, or maybe in the form of tires of the car, or whatever. Now, this entire thing, okay, when we say that the structure needs to be revamped, there is new designing has to happen. This is very important that an implementation support is to be given, right? Because we all are in the process of learning. Specifically, we as teachers, we need to go through a lot of unlearning for this new learning process, right? So, the strong earlier program supports teachers through structured daily flow, because the roots curriculum has a daily flow based curriculum. It is the lesson plans have been made in a way where every single topic and the subtopics are defined in a way where what activities, what manipulatives are to be used, what questions are to be asked, everything is there. So this daily flow is quite structured for you. Then there is a developmental sequencing. You cannot move from theme 1 to theme 6 directly. Or today I'm in mood of teaching mathematics, so I'm just moving on from this to that. No. It is very much aligned. The sequencing has been done very beautifully. Then the guided lesson support, like I mentioned, it's there. Whatever a teacher requires, they should not be spending a lot of time sitting with their laptops and like going through YouTube videos and all of that. We have it all prepared for you. Because with this curriculum, we want the teacher to be someone who is going to lead the child or guide the child to explore more and more. Then the assessments. Of course, these assessments are observation based assessment. Every single day, if I'm doing something, if I'm performing something, I am to be observed. Then my teacher will be able to understand whether I'm developing or not. So, this consistency creates measurable growth. We need to understand if I see my child practicing daily and daily I am assessing the child, then only we'll be able to make a consistent approach, and that is going to create the measurable growth that we will be doing in the end of the session, right? Now, when I say this, now we have talked about everything, we have talked about playful methods, and we have got to know now that purpose is something that we really need to find. Playing has always been there, it's gonna be there, it's very much important, but we need to add on a purpose. Adding a why, answering those whys is very important. So now, when if like the time is here when I'll be ending the session, I want to leave you all with just one thought. That children will forget many activities we conduct. We all know that, right? They might forget that what we were doing in the classrooms or something like that, but their brain will never forget how learning made them feel. We all know how learning makes us feel. When I say this, just think of a moment when you learned something and you were on cloud 7 or cloud 9. Maybe, well, like one single thing. Maybe the day when you made the first round chapati, or maybe the day you learned how to reverse park your car, or maybe do the parallel parking or whatsoever. Imagine how it was. That's exactly what we remember. We don't remember what we were going through in the process. So this is high time that we really actually reflect upon few things, that are we really designing activities or we are designing development of a child? Because merely performing the activities is not going to design the development. Then we need to understand and actually see whether the children are engaged mentally or only physically occupied. Maybe my child is sitting with the pen and paper for good 4 hours, but my mind is elsewhere. Learning is not happening. We need to understand and we really need to think that, does our classroom build confidence along with competence? Are children competent enough? But are they confident enough? And we can give this answer, because for someone who might be excelling in, getting great marks in English, is not necessarily be a great motivational speaker or a public speaker, because the confidence is not there. So we need to understand that early childhood education is not about finishing a syllabus. It's about shaping a human being. And we need to understand, when play finds a purpose, the classrooms eventually transform. Right? So when early years are strong, the future does not need any repair. The senior teachers are not going to sit with the children and talking about, you need to put prepositions here and tenses here, or maybe do the BODMAS this way. No. This is all is to be taken care in the very early, when we are providing purpose to the children. So I believe it's high time that we must prepare. We should not just prepare children only for school, but prepare them for life. Okay. So thank you so much. Now I would like to hear all your reflections and questions on the same. I believe this was quite a session for you all, where we actually got to understand that playing is necessary, but we really require to add some purpose to it. So I'm open to questions. Please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Kartikeya. Dear teachers, how do you feel? If it is for me, I can see the ideas sparking out in your mind. It's amazing to have such a passionate group of educators with us today. So, just to add upon whatever Kartikeya has said about the roots set, the closet that consists of different kits on science. You will be finding kits on science, different kits on maths, different kits on numeracy, I would say, rather than maths. And then you'll find kit on literacy, and you have art and craft material also included in the closet. Apart from that, teachers also receive TLMs, resources of a big kit for teachers also to use it in the classroom, like flashcards, storytelling puppets, and many more. So Kartikeya, do we have any set over there just to show them? Wow, that's so nice.
Yes, of course, I have someone here. I really have someone here talking to you all and saying thank you for being such wonderful listeners, amazing participants, because you people were the one who made me think a lot. Right? So, next time, whenever we are performing a story, whenever we are making our kids to understand who they exactly are, what are they performing, let them do the talking. So there are so many other resources that we have. And as the grades proceed, As the children are proceeding with their manipulatives and resources, so are the teachers. The resources are there for the teachers to perform all sort of activities, and of course, purposeful play. This is something exactly we are providing with the manipulators, because
Absolutely.
storytelling is there, but we really need to let the children understand that somebody who is telling you a story is not necessarily a storyteller, right? Please, Vidya, go ahead.
So I just feel, in my personal view, I just feel that, children are very good storytellers. They weave a lot of
They are, yes.
beautiful stories in the classroom or maybe at home. So that is where storytelling as a pedagogy in the classroom will be also so helpful for children to learn lots of vocabulary that the child builds up with. So just to keep you all informed about this particular Roots kit, it is all integrated. We have 6 different themes. Let me also show you. We have these books. Let me show you these books. Teachers, I request you to please turn off, mute yourself. Yeah. Are you able to see my screen, or?
No, Vidya.
Wait 1 second. Yeah. So these are the kinds of
Yeah.
books that you'll be seeing, dear teachers. We have a series of Roots kits for nursery, LKG, and UKG, and we have 6 different themes along with a workbook. So it is like one theme and then one workbook. This is what the child will be carrying it to the school till one particular theme is completed. And we do have lots of resources that the teacher will be receiving from us, like kinds of worksheets, and then the ebook that we have for rhymes and stories that can be taught in the classroom, the digital resources. And these books are being in alignment with foundational literacy and numeracy as per NCF for foundational stage document, which focuses upon key areas like coming to when we speak about foundational literacy, it is important that we focus upon oral language development, decoding, reading fluency, reading comprehension, writing. So all these key features have been taken care of when we speak about literacy, and when we speak about numeracy, it is all about focusing upon pre-number concepts, numbers, number operations, and then about spatial understanding, measurements, data handling. So all these features have been integrated or mapped in our books, keeping the child in view. So the themes include is integrated with literacy, numeracy, as well as environmental education. And the approaches that we have used are, like ask is what we usually say. It is about attitude, skills, and knowledge that we have focused upon. So focusing upon socio-emotional learning, interpersonal development, which can happen, and then about literacy, numeracy abilities, the cognitive development which has to happen at that particular age is what we are focusing upon. And the assessment framework, which we have also introduced in the workbook, is all about Webb's depth of knowledge. So there are 4 stages in which we try assessing a child, which is similar to Bloom's taxonomy. So this particular Webb's depth of knowledge is all about, trying to understand their prior understanding about that concept, and then if the child is able to apply this basic application, as Mr. Kartikeya has told you, mentioned an example saying about shapes. When a teacher teaches about shapes, they try applying it in their real life. So that is where we are also trying to assist the child with the assessments. And then we do follow a strategic thinking form of assessment in the 3rd level, trying to understand the critical thinking abilities of the child in this assessment, followed by the expanded level of understanding which the child has. So, how is he or she applying it in their real life is what we are also taking care of. So, teachers, definitely, I can see how can you see how can you find these books is what certain teachers have mentioned. So there is a feedback form that I will be sharing you right now. You can fill all the details, and in that itself, we have mentioned about the demo slots that you can fill the details upon. So our team will connect with you for further demos that you wish to go with. So thank you so much, Kartikeya, for this session. It's like a celebration of childhood wonder. This session nurtures the art of teaching, helping little learners with a powerful journey of early learning with playful experiences of foundational literacy and numeracy. Dear teachers, I hope you all also enjoyed. Give me a second, and do you have any questions, by the way? I'm sorry, I missed it out. If there are any questions, feel free to either unmute yourself and ask, or maybe you can also type it in the chat box. Meanwhile, I'm sharing this feedback form in the chat box. You can also download your certificate from the feedback form. So let me drop this. So this meeting link will be open for another 5 to 10 minutes. All of you feel free to fill the details in the feedback form. And at the bottom of the feedback form, once you fill all the details, you will be finding a link for the certificate where you can download it. Once you download it, please do not forget to submit the feedback form. And are you all aware this session is also live streamed in YouTube? So if you wish to refer, you can go back to YouTube link. I'll also post this YouTube link. You can go back and you can also go through the session. So please keep following us for further updates. Santhia ma'am, I have once again posted this feedback form and certificate link. You can click on the feedback form, fill all the details, and please uh, download the certificate also. So once you download the certificate, dear teachers, you can enter your name in the laptop or probably in your desktop. You can download this and you can enter your name, and then your digital certificate is ready. So, where little hands explore and young hearts begin to know, play turns into purpose with young minds blooming with a bright future. On behalf of entire English Press family, I would like to thank all the teachers for your interactive engagement that has happened in between the session. Especially a big thanks to Kartikeya Sukla for engaging the participants. And I would also like to thank all my colleagues for working round the clock to make this event a successful one. Thank you all once again. Wish you all a wonderful Saturday.
Thank you, Vidya. Same to you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Karthikeyan.